We're going to move to the topic now of gun control in Washington. Jim?
The Washington legislature recently passed an assault weapon ban. Mr. Ferguson, you supported that and I think promoted it for many years. The state has enacted a raft of gun control, gun safety laws in recent years. Advocates for further gun safety restrictions point to the ongoing rash of shootings that seem to greet us in the news every day, and they're still looking for perhaps more restrictions, perhaps even on existing assault weapons, things like that. At the same time, people who value the Second Amendment and some of the gun stores that are operating under the current restrictions say it's just going to drive them out of business. I'll start with you, Mr. Ferguson. Should the state go further, are there any other restrictions that you're looking at with licensing or tracking of guns in the state?
I think we're always keeping an open mind, but I think it's important to start from a place of, I'm someone who supports the Second Amendment. But just like I can't yell fire in this place right now when there's not a fire, even though I have a First Amendment speech, there are restrictions on all of our constitutional rights, including the Second Amendment. So I believe in responsible limitations. That's why I didn't support the ban on the sale of assault weapons and the ban on the sale of high-capacity magazines. As Attorney General, I led on that issue. I proposed that as agency request legislation. I don't have to do that, but I felt this issue was so important. I fought for it. I advocated for years and got it across the finish line without a single Republican legislature voting for it. My opponent opposes the ban on the sale of assault weapons. My opponent opposes the ban on the sale of high-capacity magazines. My opponent even opposes universal background checks, supported by more than 60% of Washingtonians. This is an issue that's close to my heart. We need to make sure that we're protecting Washingtonians, kids in schools. We just saw another recent tragedy that's become all too common. After the Mukilteo shooting several years ago here in Washington State, I met with family members impacted by that senseless tragedy. And that, frankly, is what moved me, Jim, to become a leader in this issue and advocate it so that never happens again in Washington State.
Mr. Reichert, do you feel comfortable where the state is? Do you think any of the restrictions go too far? Would you propose any new ones?
Well, what I would like to do is focus on gun crime. And I have a record of doing that. When I was the sheriff, we put together a group of people. The first time in history, I would say, that we brought ceasefire and the NRA to the same conference table to discuss gun crime. So we came up with the King County Firearms Coalition, which was very successful in reducing gun crime and gang violence. That was actually moved to the Safe Cities Initiative, which was a Clinton Gore initiative. We were one of the 10 safe cities recognized across the country. We're the only county sheriff's office that was recognized as reducing gun crime. And again, that's an example of bringing people together, looking at the problem, looking at facts, finding solutions, and actually having results. It was later changed to Project Safe Neighborhoods, which was a Bush-Cheney initiative. I would look forward to implementing programs similar to Safe Cities, similar to Project Safe Neighborhoods, and bringing people together to address the issue of gun crime. Again, you have to hold people accountable and responsible, those people that are committing crimes with guns.
We have 45 seconds each for one more question from Mark.
Yeah, staying on the same topic, we'll start with you, Mr. Ferguson. According to the CDC, firearms have now overtaken car crashes as the leading cause of death for children 18 and younger. What can we do to reduce that number while still respecting the Second Amendment?
I think one more thing I would add to my leadership on this issue now for many, many years on one of the more challenging issues facing our state and not being afraid to lead on that in contrast to my opponent. But one thing I hear when I talk, to example, for teachers and educators all across our state who are worried about what's going on in the classroom, when I ask them what they see, what I hear as a response over and over is mental health issues, mental health issues, and mental health issues. They see a real need for more mental health counselors in the classrooms, in the schools, to help kids who are suffering from mental health issues, but also to improve the learning environment for all kids in the classroom. So as Attorney General, that is an issue that I've led on, and as a governor would be a priority in my budgets as well.
Mr. Reichert, how do we bring that number down?
Well, first of all, we've got to ask the question, how did we get here? And we're not holding people accountable and responsible. Hiring 800 attorneys is not the way to go about solving juvenile crime. Most juvenile crime is committed by 13 and 15-year-olds. Our teachers don't even feel safe in their classrooms. So we have got to, well, one of the things we need to do is make sure that our youth centers are detention centers are actually used for detaining juveniles and not adults. We've moved adults from the prisons into our youth centers. The adults should be moved back to our prisons, make space for our young people who are committing crimes so we can help them get the help that they need. And I agree with the issue on mental health.